Você, você, você. Você, você, você. I've been reading my entire life. And why I read was to get away from all the negative things that were going on around me when I was a child. I think I might have told this story. I'll tell it again, never hurts to. And if it can connect with others and they can relate, that's amazing. But books for me were my gateway or portals into other worlds, into a better place than where I was at the time as a child. Hence why I wear glasses. I've overused my eyes was actually what the optometrist told me when I had to finally get glasses. Ha! Hey, human. So anyway, the reason I tell you that is because right now I'm reading a number of books together. I really am. One really sparked my attention and I thought correlated really well with this podcast I planned. Let me talk about that and get you familiar with the book and the aspects of the book that I feel correlate with this topic. Gary Zukav presented the distinction between our personality and our soul in his New York Times best-selling book, The Seat of the Soul. And the 25th anniversary edition that I have has prefaces by Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou. And in fact, Zukav was on the Oprah Winfrey show many times. What he did in the book that really piqued my interest was Zukov, he basically said to be human is to have a personality or something like that. That wasn't a direct quote. Just that concept is one that is rather hard to refute because it is a fact that all humans have personalities. And I would even extend to say all living creatures have personalities because as a pet owner, I'm seeing that all the time. And I think other pet owners will agree that their pets have their own personalities. And I'm talking 2 dogs, 3 cats, fish, all sorts of pets I have had over my lifetime. And they have their own personality, which is what makes them so endearing and makes you chuckle at times, the things they do. So here is where things got really interesting for me. Zukov went on to make the correlation that our evolution is tied to our personality. And according to him, and I quote this time, your personality is the vehicle of your evolution. And more specifically, Zukov wrote, again quoted, the decisions you make and the actions that you take upon the earth are the means by which you evolve. My interpretation of what he's saying is that through decisioning and choice and free will, which we have, and the actions taken is growing and evolving your personality and hence evolving you as a human and your human experience. Huh. How interesting is that? He goes on to mention intentions shaping your experiences, and things we focus our attention upon are all choices that affect our evolutionary process. The words sound a bit similar if I don't enunciate them properly. Intentions shape our experiences, and focusing our attention upon something or things are all our choices that affect our evolutionary process. So we evolve based on 4 fundamental things, which we see all the time coaches saying, not just me, but coaches saying. First, you get a choice, you make a decision, you take action, you set your intentions, and you really focus in. And that's how you start to make change and move things in your life. The question becomes whether your choices are done unconsciously or consciously, because either way in which they're done is still making choices and you are still evolving. But in what way are you evolving? What I took away from this piece that interested me was a simple question for myself, because I don't just sit here and challenge you guys to grow and challenge you guys to look at things from a different perspective to change your life. I challenge myself. I always say I never ask you guys to do something I don't do or attempt to do myself. So I took away this simple question for myself. How do I wish to evolve? And when I tie in my purpose, the question gets extended to be, how do I wish to evolve for the purpose I have or for my mission here on earth? Oh, think about that. Because this question, the latter one, the extended version, suggests that you know your purpose or you're open to exploring your purpose. Are you on the right path? Are you on a path? Or are you just existing and floating through life one day at a time and without any real focus on it? Oh, oh, I'm telling you. So this Arrays of Living episode is called Course Correcting. And, I suppose I could have easily called it Redirecting Your Life. Either way, episode title aside, here is how the topic ties into the Zukov lead-in of evolution, personality versus soul. In this, we're not really going to focus on the soul part. We're going to focus on the personality part, because when we talk about course correcting, it's the process of making intentional changes in your life path, in your journey. It's also about making decisions or growing your personality. Hello, tie into Zukov. Because if your choices are evolving you and your human experience is equated to your personality, those things are also about decision ties to personality. Or it's goals to better align with your values, your desires, and your circumstances. And what I find interesting is that course correcting, recognizing the need to course correct, acting and living your life based on a course correcting approach is a neutrally humbling state that involves acknowledging the original plan or the direction you set for yourself may not always be the best or most fulfilling, and the fact that it requires a willingness to adapt. What I call the flex game, and I'm moving my shoulders. It's about being flexible, being willing to adapt and make adjustments as necessary. Hence, course correcting. Let's take a moment and really look at what course correcting is all about. What are the aspects of that? So the first part is self-reflecting. And if you've been following me and Arrays of Living in the podcast, you know that from September to December, call it the thankful season. Every aspect of it is about being thankful and harvesting. We harvest the pumpkins, we harvest the apples. There's a lot of fruits and vegetables that come into this time frame. And when we get good harvest, we're thankful even more. And that's what Thanksgiving is all about. So I look at this season as one in which I pause sufficiently to look at how the year to this point has been going for me. How did I start out the year? And remember, I started the year always with a particular word. And for me, 2023 was about impact, impact, impact. And I start out that word. I set goals. I set plans. I push those plans through. And then I see to what degree have those things been achieved, not achieved. Where was I by March? Where was I by June? Where was I by September? And then I continue to look and see where the gaps, what has been reached, what hasn't been reached. Has it been reached the way I anticipated? More, less, all these things I do. That's called self-reflecting. So self-reflection is a first key aspect of this. And it's all about being self-aware. It really is starting to put you in the forefront of your mind to when you become self-aware, you want to self-reflect because you need to take time to look at your goals, your values, and the overall life direction you're heading in. Is it what you anticipated? These are the times, if you do it yearly, that you don't come around in 5 years and go, oh my God, the big OMG, how did I get here? You become aware of how you got here. You can have grace with yourself because you said, I planned for this, something happened that didn't make it happen. That's okay. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being strategic. It's about tactical execution of your life journey. It's about being aware of it and really doing it consciously, not unconsciously. So self-awareness helps you to determine if you're on the right path or if adjustments are needed. It will also guide you on the triggers that you need to see when you're planning to say that I need to course correct. I need to get into course correcting mode. The other thing is about goals and priorities. Now we say self-reflect, see what goals have been achieved, what goals still haven't been achieved. Do they feed back into the upcoming year, or do they go away because they didn't get achieved because something happened along the way that now invalidated those goals? That's always possible. At the same time, some may need to now come into thing. And it isn't about a beat up. It didn't happen. It's simply becoming aware that it didn't happen and not sitting in this beat up stage that, oh, I'm a failure. I didn't. No, get out of that. These are lessons. Figure out the lessons in those goals not being achieved. Figure out the path. And if you've been doing things along the way, you would know. Do they still make sense? Do the goals you set and the plans you have, do they still make sense based on your current situation and maybe your current desires? Because something could have happened through the year to change your perspective enough that it changes your goals and your plans. Just look at that, because whether or not they're still meaningful and aligned with your values, it's just a checkpoint. If not, then reevaluate and set new goals.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're looking to make a business collaboration or an advertisement with Jenn Drakes, please send an email at jen@youareworthmore.co. That is jen@youareworthmore.co. Enjoy the episode.
The key thing is to understand the triggers of change. So when you make your plans, when you set your goals and you make your plans, what triggers could come into play to clearly tell you that it's time to course correct? It's time to move in a different direction. It's time to stop maybe and reevaluate right then and there and get to something before you hit the thankful season. That's all part of being actively involved in your outcomes and in where you're going. Look for and identify what those triggers could be, because those indicators can signal the need for course correcting. It might be that you're feeling unfulfilled, experiencing burnout, encountering a significant life event that forced you to assess that path you were on, the journey you were on. And for many was getting cancer, for example. Cancer is one of those significant life events and where people start to evaluate what they've been doing, how they've been living life, and start to adapt their life differently. Does it need to get to that? Wouldn't it be nice if you proactively did it to avoid those significant life events? If possible, I'm not saying all the time it will be like that, but I think with proactive management of your life that you could dissipate or minimize such significant life events. The other thing, as I said, the flex dance, what I call the flex dance, is about being adaptable. Life isn't static. Life is a roller coaster. We go up, we go down, we go up again. It's dynamic. It's organic. Life is not meant to be this static thing that just keeps moving. It throws events, it throws all sorts of things at you. So you've got to be flexible that any unexpected things can occur at any time. And having that flexibility built into your expectations, into your lens, into your view of life means that you're now open to change and you're prepared to make adjustments whenever necessary. You're okay with it. You can smile. You go, oh, I learned this lesson, shrug and move on. And that is really the ideal of how you want to live life. For myself, I'm pulling back and going, no, I want to be more flexible. I want to just kind of shrug and just go through life and experience it. But at the same time, guide it in the direction that I know will give me fulfillment, such as me doing this podcast and explaining to you about course correcting. That gives me fulfillment. That makes me extremely happy. And that's what I want for everybody. So be adaptable, be flexible. The other piece to consider, we talked about it, setting new goals and plans. Because if you decide a change is needed, then you need to set new goals and plans to achieve those goals. And it should be against your updated aspirations, dreams, and priorities. You need to look at that. Then seeking support and guidance. Come on, people. Come on. I've never seen anybody do things on their own entirely. Absolutely not. You need somebody to give you a job. You need someone to do repairs sometimes. We don't get anywhere in life without reaching out or having to lean on someone at some point in time. Now, a lot of people are leaning on Amazon. If Amazon disappeared, guess what? They'd be lost or they'd have to go back to a brick and mortar to get what they want. It sounds a bit silly, I suppose, but you get my point. Seek support and guidance. Mentors. First thing I do is mentorship. That's what I do. I am a life strategist, yes, and it's through mentorship that I help to give strategy to people in how they're facing life and coping with life and all of that. Reach out if you need help. Jenn is here. You know how to reach me. Jenn at youareworthmore.co. You go on jenndrakes.com with two N's, Jenn Drakes.com, and go to the contact page and just send a note that you need help. I will respond. I will reach back out. That's called mentorship and support. You can go to friends and family. Sometimes friends and family will try to keep you so safe that they're actually deterring you from pursuing that dream. The difference is I'm not going to deter you from your dreams. I'm going to probe and guide towards you achieving that dream. That's the difference. So take advantage. Take advantage. Choose you. I'm always saying choose you first. And then uncertainty. Oh, this is a big one. I just did a podcast. If you haven't listened to it, is it even posted yet? It might be. It was about risk. I did a podcast on risk. And I talked about risk and change is along the same lines as risk. We resist change and we freak out about risk. Every day we get up, we are at risk. We don't know if we're going to see tomorrow. That's why we are grateful and thankful when we open our eyes. We're grateful, thankful when we can get out of bed because not everybody has that ability. I don't know if I'm going to see tomorrow. I'm already in an unknown situation. I'm already in a risk situation. Risk is all around us and change is all around us, whether we consciously want to accept it or not. And we put stories around it. Oh, how risk averse are you? What is your risk profile? Give me a break. We live risk daily. We do risk daily. We could say, what is your risk profile related to money specifically? Hey, risk is there. Stop over embellishing it to be more than it is. Risk is there. Any kind of change, any kind of plans, any kind of aspiration has degrees of risk. Don't hang on that and make that the excuse for not doing it or not pursuing it. You need to embrace uncertainty. You need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You need to move forward in faith and belief. It's blind faith, as my book says. You need to go forward irrespective. So get comfortable with that and with the unknown and trust in your ability to adapt and make the most of any new direction that you choose. Trust in that. Trust your gut. Trust those other senses that come out. When I pivoted, I was going into a world that I had no inkling about. I mean, zero. And I had a learning curve like you wouldn't believe. Me doing this podcast is me surpassing that learning curve. Me writing a book is me surpassing that learning curve and getting it published and everything. Yes, the things we pursue will have unknowns. Being able to go into the unknown and do the things that fulfills you. Who would have thought? I didn't have a clue 3 years ago, and yet I pursued it. You can too. Trust in your ability to adapt and do the flex stance. And the other thing that you notice in those stories is taking action. So you need to formulate a plan and you need to do the doing in that plan to get going. It may be small steps at first to become bigger steps, and you'll figure it out. Trust in your ability to figure it out. And then you'll take action based on the lessons you learned, and you'll adjust and you'll learn from mistakes. So there you go. Because that's how you're going to know you need to course correct. There'll be trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, but do something. And that's okay if you make mistakes along the way. It doesn't equate to failing. It equates to getting lessons to course correct. So drop that failing thing from your mindset. They're just learning experiences, the human experience of growing and evolving through our decisions to do. Because doing is a decision. Not doing is a decision as well. How do you wish to evolve was a question I asked myself, and a question you should consider for yourself, or formulate a new question for yourself. Commit to reading, exploring, researching, doing whatever you need to do to get past some of the mistakes you hit upon or the barriers you face. Lastly, is assessing, checkpointing yourself. September to December is my major checkpointing part of the year, but throughout the year I do checkpoints. Reassess. Do some checkpointing of your progress and see what has come up for you and what needs to change even in the midst. It doesn't have to wait till this period or at the end of the year. Do it throughout and adjust as you need to. By the time you get to this final major piece, you'll say, oh, right, I'm going in this direction now. I've made these changes and here's the reason. You will know the reason why. And course correcting is not a one-time process. This is the checkpointing shows you it's a continuous process. But what it does is it keeps you involved. It keeps your focus on your life. It keeps you really targeted on your goal. And it makes you very, very progress oriented to make progress, and growth oriented as well to grow yourself. Because remember what Zukov said, with every decision, you are evolving. And the human experience equates to personality. So you are expanding yourself. You're expanding your personality. You're opening up yourself to experiences. And that's a wonderful thing. So keep that going. Regularly assess your goals and make adjustments as needed. That is course correcting, and course correcting leads to continued growth and evolution of you and who you become and what you leave behind when this one life ends. So in summation, as I wrap up, course correcting is a fundamental aspect of personal development and growth. It allows you to adapt to all sorts of circumstances as they change, and it makes you a change practitioner. You start to embrace change in a very fundamentally different way. And you stay true. It allows you to stay true to your values and your pursuits because you want to be more fulfilled and you want to have a meaningful life journey. So this is what course correcting in practice will do for each and every one of you. And I think it's important to remember this. Put age aside. I don't look at age. Don't look at age. Because it's never, never, never too late to make positive changes and align your life to your goals and your aspirations. What you don't want to do is push them so far aside and so far away from you, you no longer remember what they are, or you don't even know how to aspire to anything. Just remember, this is the benefits, the beauty of course correcting and putting it into practice in an every day, every month, every quarter, every year way. But just make sure it's incorporated in how you're journeying through your life. And on that note, I'll wrap up. You've been listening to another amazing episode of a Rays of Living podcast. And please remember, reach out. I am here if you need help with any aspect of these types of life approaches, strategies, resources. If you need resources, tools, if you need training, if you need anything like that, reach out to Jenn Drakes.
Welcome back, everyone, to Arrays of Living. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check the other episodes. Make sure to follow Jenn Drakes on all social media platforms so you don't miss out on the next episode. Also, join our Catalytic Club Discord to get exclusive news about Jenn Drakes. Thank you for listening.